Hello dear students, this video is part of a video series that aims to help you boost your score in the essay paper of the Civil Services Mains Examination. Today we are going to see exactly how are we supposed to write an introduction to essays that makes a very good first impression on the minds of the examiner. Now, dear students, we all know that we need to write innovative introductions to hook the examiner's imagination. And students apply or adopt various ways to write these kind of introductions. They use stories, anecdotes, newspaper headlines, and so on. But in a bid to make their introductions innovative, many a times they tend to divorce the very introduction from the title of the essay. And today I am going to take an example of a quote and show that how, if we are using a quote to start our introduction, how are we supposed to write that introduction and make best use of that quote being used. So the sample topic that we are considering is that we need now to build a culture of genuine non-violence and real democracy. And the quote I am using here is that democracy is the worst form of government. It's ascribed to Plato. And the introduction starts as Plato, the great Greek philosopher, propounded this quote to describe the toxic political culture that was prevalent at those times. Although technically democracy was a form of government, but in essence mobocracy was practiced, in which justice rendered by the mob was considered legitimate. Now what are we doing here? We are putting the quote in its proper context. Essentially, this is a radical quote which says that democracy is the worst form of government. But when looked or when seen in its proper context, this quote has credibility and seems true because of the democracy practiced as at those times was not democracy as such. In fact, it was mobocracy. Now, this is context setting. Moving ahead, we write, further, Socrates, the mentor of Plato, had to consume poison as it suited the so-called democracy of the time. Though Plato's argument is a radical one and can't be taken at face value, but it's a great source of learning for all those nations that take pride in calling themselves democratic. Now, what are we doing here? We are again essentially countering the quote. As I have mentioned, it is a very radical quote, so we ought to counter it. Apart from that, we are also mentioning that although it is a radical quote, but it is also a very good source of learning, so that we can develop democratic institutions. That is what we are hinting at. Moving ahead, we write, thus it's pertinent to ask that are the political systems prevalent today really democratic and genuine? If not, then what steps should be taken to construct a culture of genuinely non-violent and real democracy? What are we doing here? We are connecting the introduction very explicitly with the title of the essay. Also, we are setting the tone for the entire essay. Knitting all the parts together, let's have a very quick read of the introduction. It's a short introduction. Democracy is the worst form of government. Plato, the Greek philosopher, propounded this quote to describe the toxic political culture that was prevalent at those times. Although technically democracy was the form of government, but in essence, mobocracy was practiced, in which justice rendered by the mob was considered legitimate. Further, Socrates, the mentor of Plato, had to consume poison as it suited the so-called democracy of the time. Though Plato's argument is a radical one and can't be taken at face value, but it's a great source of learning for all those nations that take pride in calling themselves democratic. Thus, it's pertinent to ask that are the political systems prevalent today really democratic and genuine? If not, then what steps should be taken to construct a culture of a genuinely non-violent and real democracy? So this is one good example of writing an introduction using a quote. Now, please don't make templates out of this introduction because the style of constructing the introduction will change when we use another quote. But the idea would remain same as discussed in the video. So that was all in today's short video. Hope you find it helpful. Also, we'll be coming up with similar videos to help you in the essay paper. Also, you can opt for the option of availing my mentorship for the essay paper. And if you want to avail my mentorship for the essay paper, you will find all the relevant information in the link provided in the comment section below. So dear friends, do take very good care of yourselves. Jai Hind.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Civilsdaily.